Once hailed as Boeing's most successful aircraft, the 737 MAX has now become a symbol of tragedy, corporate missteps, and global mistrust. But how did one of the most powerful names in aviation fall so far, so fast?
Our product strategy is to have the most capable airplane in every segment of the commercial airplane market. The 737 MAX gives our airline customers the most efficient airplane.
The Boeing 737 MAX was designed to be a game changer. With promises of greater fuel efficiency and lower operational costs, it quickly became the most sought-after plane in the industry. By 2019, Boeing had received over 5,000 orders for the MAX, making it the fastest-selling aircraft in Boeing's history, according to Reuters. It was seen as the cornerstone of Boeing's strategy to outpace its rival Airbus and its A320neo series. But underneath its technological advances lay a critical flaw. In October 2018 and March 2019, two tragic crashes, Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, claimed the lives of 346 people. According to the Wall Street Journal, the crashes were linked to a critical software failure in the plane's automated system, known as the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS. This system, intended to prevent stalls, malfunctioned, causing both planes to nosedive shortly after takeoff. In the aftermath of these disasters, Boeing faced an unprecedented crisis. The global fleet of 737 MAX aircraft was grounded, resulting in more than $20 billion in direct losses, according to Boeing's own financial reports. The company's reputation took a massive hit, with their stock value plunging by over $60 billion in the months following the crashes. Airlines around the world canceled orders, and regulatory agencies demanded stricter oversight, forcing Boeing into a battle to regain both industry and public trust.
It's in final assembly, and it's day 8 in terms of its production life cycle. And by day 10, it's actually going to roll out that far door and be prepped for its first flight.
The story of the 737 MAX is not just about a technical failure. It's about a corporate culture under immense pressure, regulatory failures, and the human cost of cutting corners. In this documentary, we'll uncover how Boeing's race for profits and market dominance led to two catastrophic crashes, and explore the steps the company is taking to reclaim its once legendary status in aviation. Before we dig deeper into this story, we notice something interesting. According to our analytics, less than 1% of our viewers have subscribed to this channel. We have a goal to reach 10,000 subscribers in the next 12 months, and we need your help to get there. If you're finding value in this video, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us bring you more high-quality content, and we appreciate every single one of you being a part of this community. The rise of the 737 MAX opened. For decades, Boeing has been a towering force in the aviation industry. Founded in 1916, Boeing dominated the skies with legendary aircraft like the 707, the 747 jumbo jet, and the 737, which became the best-selling commercial jetliner in history. By the early 2000s, more than 10,000 737 aircraft had been delivered worldwide, making it a staple in short-haul and domestic air travel. According to Boeing's own records,
popular jam-packed medium-range routes like New York to Los Angeles or Beijing to Shanghai require bigger airplanes, but smaller than the long-range Airbus A350 and Boeing 787.
But in the 21st century, Boeing faced new competition. Airbus, its European rival, introduced the A320neo, a more fuel-efficient and environmentally friendly jet that quickly gained traction. The pressure was mounting. Airlines demanded jets that could cut fuel costs without sacrificing performance. According to Reuters, the A320neo garnered over 4,500 orders by 2016, forcing Boeing to act quickly to maintain its position in the market. To respond, Boeing accelerated the development of the 737 MAX, an upgraded version of the iconic 737. The company promised airlines a more fuel-efficient and cost-effective solution. The MAX featured new, larger engines that reduced fuel consumption by 14%, according to Boeing's marketing materials. This made the MAX an attractive choice for airlines looking to save on operating costs, and orders quickly poured in. By 2018, Boeing had secured over 5,000 orders for the 737 MAX, making it the fastest-selling aircraft in the company's history, according to CNBC. Unveiled to much fanfare, the 737 MAX was designed to revolutionize short-haul air travel. With promises of greater efficiency and higher profitability for airlines, it seemed like the perfect answer to Airbus's growing dominance. The jet was hailed as a success, with major airlines such as Southwest and American Airlines placing large orders, further cementing Boeing's position at the top of the aviation world narration.
Boeing reporting 0 new orders for the 737 MAX in the month of March. The company says that in terms of total orders, there were 44 last month, but 0 for the MAX.
The 737 MAX promised to save airlines millions in fuel costs and lower emissions, all while carrying more passengers than its predecessors. It seemed like a win-win situation for both Boeing and its customers. But beneath the surface, key design decisions, such as the larger engines and their impact on the aircraft's balance, would soon lead to an unfolding crisis.
This looks like some sort of high-tech, I don't know, sci-fi-like engine, but it's not. This is clear plastic tubing, 250 feet of it.
While the exterior upgrades made the 737 MAX more appealing, the changes to the aircraft's aerodynamics required significant software adjustments. Boeing engineers developed the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, to help pilots manage the plane's altered flight dynamics. But as Boeing rushed to meet market demand, cracks in the system's safety began to emerge, setting the stage for one of the most devastating crises in aviation history. October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 departs from Jakarta, Indonesia, on what should have been a routine flight. But just 13 minutes after takeoff, the plane plunges into the Java Sea, killing all 189 passengers and crew on board. According to the National Transportation Safety Committee of Indonesia, the pilots reported flight control issues within minutes of takeoff. The tragedy raised immediate questions, but few answers. As investigators pored over the wreckage, a disturbing trend began to emerge. A malfunction in a new software system, MCAS, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, had repeatedly pushed the plane's nose down, leaving the pilots in a desperate battle to regain control. While the aviation world grappled with the tragedy, Boeing's 737 MAX continued flying. But 5 months later, disaster struck again. March 10, 2019, Ethiopian Airlines. Flight 302 crashes just 6 minutes after takeoff from Addis Ababa, killing 157 people. The similarities to Lion Air 610 were chilling. According to the New York Times, early reports revealed that the same MCAS system had activated, pushing the plane into a fatal dive.
An Ethiopian Airlines jet carrying 157 people has crashed shortly after takeoff, killing everyone.
Secondly, Boeing has required the MCAS system to only try to correct the airplane one time as opposed to continually forcing it nose down. That was the issue with the crash, as the pilots were wrestling with the computer system until eventually...
The main components of the autopilot system are the autopilot flight director system and the auto throttle system.
This is an item that should happen, all of them, that's lead to the accidents.
I'd gone through this, and I knew from reading stories that Teresa had lost her husband and 2 children. And so I saw someone there who I thought was Teresa.
She says, "Are you Teresa Estrada?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She says,
At the heart of both crashes was the MCAS system, introduced to counteract changes in the plane's design caused by the new, larger engines. MCAS was intended to prevent stalls by automatically adjusting the plane's angle, but faulty sensor readings triggered the system repeatedly, overriding the pilot's efforts to correct the plane's trajectory.
But a minute after takeoff, there's a problem. The plane's nose is suddenly pointing.
In both crashes, the pilots fought against MCAS until the very last moment, unable to regain control. Boeing had made a crucial decision not to include detailed training on MCAS for pilots flying the 737 MAX, believing the system would rarely activate. But this assumption proved deadly. 2 crashes, 5 months apart. A common thread between them, a software system designed to keep planes safe, but instead it led to disaster. In the aftermath, regulators around the world grounded the entire 737 MAX fleet, and Boeing was thrust into a crisis like never before. Unraveling the Boeing cover-up. As the dust settled from the 2 fatal crashes, investigators began peeling back the layers of Boeing's decision-making. What they found was not just a technical flaw, but evidence of a corporate cover-up. Internal Boeing emails, leaked to the public, revealed an unsettling truth. Engineers and managers were under immense pressure to get the 737 MAX certified quickly. According to the New York Times, some emails showed Boeing employees joking about getting regulators to sign off on minimal pilot training, even as concerns about the plane's safety were raised internally.
Here's an example. One employee to another says, "Would you put your family on a MAX simulator-trained aircraft?" "I wouldn't." The other employee answers, "No."
These emails painted a picture of a company more concerned with profits and timelines than safety. Boeing was in a race against Airbus, desperate to get the 737 MAX to market before losing more ground to the A320neo. This urgency led Boeing to downplay the importance of MCAS, failing to inform pilots about the system's existence until after the first crash. According to Bloomberg, Boeing convinced the FAA that full pilot simulator training wasn't necessary, an oversight that would prove disastrous. However, the story doesn't stop with Boeing. The Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, played a critical role in allowing the 737 MAX to fly. As Boeing pushed for faster certification, the FAA delegated much of the oversight to Boeing itself, an arrangement that many now see as a grave mistake. According to the Seattle Times, FAA engineers were sidelined, while Boeing employees were left to assess their own work. The result? Crucial safety concerns like the impact of MCAS were overlooked during the certification process.
Boeing's 737 MAX is allowed to fly again. The FAA just lifted the grounding this morning. After 20 months of grounding, this will allow the airlines in the U.S. to put these jets back in service.
The FAA, which was once considered the gold standard of aviation safety, now faced intense scrutiny. International regulators from Europe to Asia began questioning Boeing's practices and the FAA's credibility, leading to a worldwide loss of trust in both the aircraft manufacturer and its regulators.
Administrator about the cozy relationship between the agency and Boeing, but that is a system that's mandated by Congress. The FAA says if it had to approve new airplanes,
it's hitting Boeing with a multi-million-dollar fine. This after newly released internal emails from Boeing reveal employees were raising red flags about the 737 MAX years ago.
These crashes are demonstrable evidence that our current system of aircraft design and certification has failed us. These accidents should never have happened.
As investigations unfolded, it became clear that Boeing wasn't just grappling with a technical issue, it was facing a systemic failure of oversight, corporate greed, and negligence. The crashes were the tragic result of a culture where speed and profit took precedence over safety, and a regulatory system that allowed this to happen. In March 2019, just days after the second fatal crash, the world's aviation authorities took unprecedented action. One by one, countries began grounding the Boeing 737 MAX, halting flights and sending shockwaves through the aviation industry. From Europe to Asia, regulators expressed doubts over the aircraft's safety. According to The Guardian, within 72 hours, the United States, Canada, the European Union, China, and nearly every major aviation authority grounded the 737 MAX fleet. This marked the first time in aviation history that a new aircraft model was globally grounded so soon after its launch.
Story of the day, Boeing 737 MAX 8s grounded. This decision comes after 2 deadly crashes.
With the entire fleet grounded, international scrutiny intensified. Lawsuits were filed by victims' families, and airlines affected by the grounding sought compensation. According to Bloomberg, Boeing faced over 100 lawsuits, with many nations calling for reforms to aviation safety standards. The crashes, compounded by the failure to address safety concerns, eroded public trust in Boeing and in the oversight provided by the Federal Aviation Administration. The economic impact was immediate and severe. Boeing, once the world's largest aerospace company, saw its stock plummet by more than 50%, wiping out over $60 billion in market value, according to CNBC. The cost of grounding nearly 400 MAX jets took a heavy toll on the airlines that relied on them. Thousands of flights were canceled, leading to disruptions for passengers and massive financial losses for carriers worldwide. The Wall Street Journal estimated that airlines lost over $5 billion in revenue, with Boeing promising compensation to those affected.
People are going to have to just be comfortable that we're going to share any and all issues that arise in the course of designing and producing airplanes.
In response, Boeing scrambled to contain the fallout. The company issued a series of public statements pledging to fix the MCAS system and work closely with regulators to return the 737 MAX to service. Internal investigations were launched, and Boeing's CEO faced mounting pressure to address the crisis head-on. By the end of 2019, Boeing had suspended production of the 737 MAX, a move that sent shockwaves through its supply chain, affecting thousands of workers and companies dependent on its success. From factory closures to a fractured supply chain, the global grounding of the 737 MAX rippled across the aviation industry. Suppliers were forced to cut jobs, airlines postponed expansion plans, and Boeing's once bright future seemed uncertain. According to Boeing's own reports, the total cost of the grounding, including legal fees, production halts, and compensation claims, exceeded $20 billion, an unprecedented financial disaster. The global fallout from the 737 MAX grounding was felt far and wide. What began as an engineering failure became an economic and reputational catastrophe for Boeing. As investigations continued and reforms were promised, the question remained, could Boeing ever fully recover from a crisis that shook the aviation world to its core? Boeing's efforts to fix the 737 MAX. After 2 catastrophic crashes that claimed 346 lives, Boeing's engineers and global regulators embarked on a mission to fix the 737 MAX. Months of intense scrutiny had revealed critical flaws in the plane's design, particularly in the MCAS system, which had caused the aircraft to nosedive uncontrollably. According to the Wall Street Journal, Boeing immediately began working on software updates and design modifications to ensure the 737 MAX could fly safely once again. The first priority was to address the MCAS system. The software was redesigned to rely on data from multiple sensors instead of just one, preventing false readings from triggering the system. Boeing also added safeguards, ensuring that MCAS could no longer repeatedly force the plane's nose down. Improved pilot training was introduced to ensure that all 737 MAX pilots would be fully informed of MCAS and prepared to override it if necessary. According to Reuters, Boeing worked closely with regulatory agencies, including the Federal Aviation Administration, to implement these changes and meet stringent safety requirements.
Absolutely have to rebuild confidence in the airplane, and that starts with getting it certified, bringing it back to service, convincing the regulators that we've done the right thing. that the changes to the airplane are right, that the manuals are right, and the training is right.
In addition to Boeing's internal changes, the 737 MAX faced one of the most rigorous recertification processes in aviation history. The FAA, heavily criticized for its initial role in the certification of the plane, took a far more active role this time. According to the FAA, the plane underwent hundreds of hours of testing, including rigorous flight simulations, pilot training evaluations, and software stress tests. Global regulators, including the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, and the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, followed suit, ensuring every aspect of the plane was evaluated independently.
Into the early stage production of the 737 MAX, which is the next generation 737, and we've secured orders for over 2,700 of those aircraft.
Shares of Boeing higher today after a top European safety regulator said the 737 MAX is safe to fly following test flights conducted in September. This comes more than 18 months after the 737 MAX was grounded following 2 fatal crashes.
As Boeing's efforts to recertify the 737 MAX progressed, the company also faced the challenge of restoring public trust. Executives issued multiple apologies, and Boeing committed to transparency throughout the redesign process. The company pledged more than $100 million to support the families of crash victims, though critics argue that no amount of compensation could undo the damage done. After months of investigations and redesigns, Boeing sought to fix the very system that had caused so much pain and suffering. But could a software patch be enough to restore faith in the company and its aircraft? The road to recovery was long, but the 737 MAX was ready to fly again. Now the question remained, would passengers and airlines trust it? Boeing's battle to regain trust. In the wake of 2 fatal crashes that shattered lives and grounded the 737 MAX globally, Boeing faced the greatest challenge in its history, restoring public confidence. With billions of dollars at stake and its reputation in tatters, Boeing launched a comprehensive public relations campaign, issuing heartfelt apologies and pledging to put safety first. According to Reuters, Boeing paid more than $2.5 billion in settlements to the families of crash victims and airline customers, while promising sweeping changes to prevent another tragedy. Behind the scenes, Boeing worked tirelessly to rebuild relationships with the aviation community. They engaged directly with regulators, airlines, and pilot unions, showcasing their commitment to transparency and safety. New safety protocols were introduced, and Boeing sought to prove that the company had learned from its mistakes. According to the New York Times, Boeing even established a dedicated safety review board to ensure rigorous oversight over its aircraft going forward. Central to Boeing's efforts was the recertification process led by the Federal Aviation Administration. This time, Boeing was required to meet far more stringent safety standards, including extensive updates to the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, MCAS, and new pilot training procedures. The 737 MAX underwent thousands of hours of test flights, simulations, and data reviews before regulators gave the green light for its return to service in late 2020. According to the FAA, these tests were some of the most comprehensive in aviation history.
Boeing 737 MAX jets are back in service. American Airlines today flying the first paying passengers in the U.S.
On December 29, 2020, the 737 MAX returned to the skies, first with American Airlines. The moment was symbolic, a cautious step toward restoring the plane's legacy. But for Boeing, the real battle had just begun, the battle for the trust of passengers, airlines, and pilots.
I was thinking about them when we were taking off. The flight crew was amazing. I was definitely way more at ease.
While Boeing was able to recertify the plane, regaining the confidence of the flying public proved more difficult. Surveys conducted by Gallup in early 2021 revealed that nearly 50% of passengers were hesitant to fly on the 737 MAX, despite assurances of its safety. Airlines that once championed the jet were cautious, introducing it gradually back into their fleets. According to Bloomberg, Southwest Airlines offered passengers the option to switch flights if they were uncomfortable flying on the MAX, a reflection of the lingering skepticism. Pilots, too, had mixed reactions. While many felt more confident after extensive retraining on the updated MCAS system, others voiced concerns over the trustworthiness of the jet's design. According to the Allied Pilots Association, Boeing's communication failures prior to the crashes left a deep scar in the pilot community, one that would take time to heal.
Everybody that's associated with the aircraft to ensure that safety is held at the highest level.
Despite these challenges, Boeing continued its efforts to rebuild its image. A renewed focus on safety, a transparent dialogue with industry leaders, and a gradual return to service helped ease some concerns. However, for many, the scars of the past remain too deep to forget. While some passengers and airlines were willing to trust Boeing again, others remained cautious, their confidence shaken by the company's previous missteps. While Boeing worked to get the 737 MAX flying again, the battle for public trust was just beginning. For some, Boeing's changes restored their faith in the company. But for many, the legacy of the crashes and the loss of 346 lives would not be easily forgotten. Conclusion and reflection. As the 737 MAX continues its cautious return to the skies, Boeing's journey to regain trust remains ongoing. The company has made significant strides in addressing the failures that led to 2 devastating crashes, but the scars left on the aviation industry and public perception will take years, if not decades, to heal. While safety has been enhanced and regulations tightened, the real question lingers. Will Boeing's renewed commitment to transparency and safety be enough to restore its reputation? Only time will tell.
It was our pleasure to spend some time with you. Thank you for watching the WTH channel. Let us know what you think of this video in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe for more content.